have already been removed from the pool. And then we'll keep our eye on what happens next.
So usually red side bans right now are Zac, Caitlyn, and Elise. The three very powerful champions that you cannot afford to give away and allow the enemy to first pick. Splyce gonna continue on with that trend, along with a lot of the support bans. Now, I don't expect a huge amount of support focus from G2. The reason why he's hovering the Fiora is because pre-game, Expect was asking Wonder for a Fiora versus Camille matchup.
And do you know why? Do you know why that is? Because Fiora's undefeated in the EU LCS.
Undefeated, yes.
8-0. And trying to listen to some of those quick stats I hear, as Expect will instead lock in the Brawl. Now, this was banned away. It was actually the first ban from Splyce in game number 1. Wonder, of course, hovering one of his old favorites in Aurelia.
So, wouldn't be surprised if we saw a return to the Gragas. Instead, Trashy gonna go for the Kha'Zix. Now, this has been a jungler that he has had a fair amount of play rate on. I don't know if I want to say success just yet, because I've seen mixed performances from the side of Trashy. He's definitely a jungler that definitely falls under one of his preferred, along with the Gragas and in the past Rek'Sai.
And it's the first time this split, though. So 10 professional games in record, along with 10 on Elise this year. And then Mickey will lock in a playmaking support once again in the Bard. We see Sejuani once again for Trick, and Perks, he always hovers Yasuo. He did this at MSI.
Yep.
He baited Kobe into believing he was going to run Yasuo in the mid lane. I personally despise Yasuo mains.
Oi.
It's something I've said on Twitter.
Whoa.
And I said earlier today, because Vedius is a Yasuo main.
Dude, Yasuo is a great champion. If you ever want to face anything, it is the wind. And I can tell you that there is many purposes for a leaf falling. Okay? All right, anyway, returning to the draft. Varus Bard, going to be the bottom lane for Splyce. I don't want to say that Kobe, he didn't have a bad game, but his impact was minimal, largely because of the champion that he was playing. So he's going to swap with Sven and say, well, you know what? I'll take your Varus this time, and you can have the Kalista, as she has been rising in popularity, especially over in the Eastern Hemisphere. She's a very popular champion, very powerful during the laning phase, but that could very well be slightly mitigated, given that he will be going up against the bot.
All right, let's see what mid laners and top laners get locked in. We had the Jarvan versus Jax in game number 1. Wonder, he opted into the blind Jax pick and never really got unlocked. However, G2 gonna give that a respect ban.
Yes.
Renekton is still up. That was banned away in game 1. So what else are we maybe looking at here?
No, Jarvan, Kled, all very strong top laners. You could still flex the Gragas up into the top half of the map, given that we see both junglers and supports already locked in, depending on what you want to go for. Galio is still a very strong champion. Hasn't been a huge amount of focus from the European teams, but he will be banned out once again, very similar to what we saw earlier on in the day. So now we're looking at maybe going for the Orianna, or maybe getting yourself a Syndra if you're Senkox, unless he wants to save his pick for a counter pick later on.
Well, as I mentioned in game 1, Senkox in his 15 games has played 10 different champions, and this is the first time he will play a champion more than twice. Third time playing the Taliyah. He's currently 1-1 and leaves that counter pick for Wonder. Whether that's going to be a tank or a carry remains to be seen, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless.
I'd love to see a Kassadin here from Perks. LeBlanc is a fine alternative. You still have the same sort of assassin threat, and that is what he's decided he has a little bit more comfort on. Going up against the North American mid laners, I think he felt a bit of the wrath, was reminded of why LeBlanc is such a powerful champion, and what we're seeing so far from G2 is still very similar team fight composition, but now it's a little bit more snowball reliant. You have a powerful laner in LeBlanc, you have a lot of roaming potential with the mid lane assassin too, and with the Kalista, you have a lot of threat in the 2 versus 2 laning phase, so a lot of power in the mid and bottom lane.
Now, does Wonder run Akali again? He ran Akali in the opening series of the split, if I recall correctly, and I believe that was into Oda Wamne's Fiora. And unfortunately, his jungler and mid laner gave up kills early. Instead, it's going to be a pivot away from the Akali. It's going to be that Kled, something that we have talked a lot about. Kled into Jarvan, another very exciting matchup, but a very, very different game in the jungle, and Trashy's first time on Kha'Zix this summer.
So you're seeing a little bit more of a 1-2-1 setup from both teams. Splyce, they have the ability to move in between lanes using the Taliyah wall. Eventually, Kled will outscale the Jarvan and be this massive threat in the side lane, but he has this ability to force fights. Both team compositions too have the ability to make fights happen with the Sejuani, with the Kled. Taliyah can be massively impactful in 5v5s. You have the Varus ultimate, the Bard ultimate, going up against a Kalista who has so much AoE damage once she gets the Hurricane, combined with Braum. There is a lot of room for big late game team fights once again. But there's a few more options. Now both teams, they can look to play more on side lanes if they're able to snowball the LeBlanc, or if they're able to get this Kled rolling on the side of Splyce.
Oh, very, very interesting setup from Splyce. Maybe he needs to be more proactive. Taliyah and the Kled. G2 going to have some scaling on their sides as well. Decent front line. Let's see who gets the early advantages. You guys know how to vote. Jump on Twitter, hashtag G2win or hashtag SpyWin. The Samurais or the Snakes? Will Splyce lose 2 series in a row, or will G2 be pushed into a game 3? Ladies and gentlemen, here in Berlin, put your hands together as we load up for Perkz taking on Senkux, G2 taking on Splyce. It's game 2 here in week 6.
So not quite as many interesting picks as we saw in game 1, but there is a Bard. Not a champion that you get to see a huge amount of, and I don't want to remind people of Mickey's Bard back when he first joined the LCS. There are a lot of question marks like, is this one man really going to make that much of a difference to Splyce? Will it really change the dynamic? And lo and behold, he did. And this was one of the champions that he made a name for himself on, landing spectacular ultimates, always getting the bindings onto the correct people, making such significant and massive plays that really resulted in Splyce being able to get ahead in a lot of these late game fights. So I'm excited to see him on the champion because I know it's definitely one of his comforts.
Absolutely. And his impact on Rakan in game 1 was very, very big. He found so many targets. Unfortunately, Splyce were behind several thousand gold for the majority of that game. So it hurt them a little. Reminder, of course, we are playing on patch 7.13, not the live patch, not the one with Kane enabled. Hopefully we'll have him unlocked next week. And hopefully on the same patch as well, that I've just got to confirm. But let's take a look at the setup. Double teleports for G2. It's a barrier for Senkux, despite a lot of the CC, but obviously wants to protect from the burst of that LeBlanc he's going to be dealing with.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Going up against the LeBlanc in the middle lane can be very difficult. And I want to take a second to also highlight the pathing that you're going to be seeing from Trick. Because something that Ambition did over in the LCK was that he would just start on both of his 2 buffs. So it would either be blue to red or red to blue. And basically that means that you cannot be invaded upon. It's something you always have to be mindful of as Sejuani, because while she's fairly healthy during the early game because of her passive, she isn't actually that strong at trading. Root does land, level 2 gank mid.
All right, Arctic Assault
Wow.
forces the flash already. Senkux flash and barrier popped at 2 minutes.
That's huge. That's massive for Perkz. He's still only level 1, but because both summoners were burnt from Senkux, once he hits that level 3 mark specifically, he's going to have huge amount of kill threat, and I'd love to see Trick return to the lane.
All right, let's see. Let's see if Trick can. Perkz has got the building blocks of a lane kingdom being set up. All right, second game in a row. Cosmic Binding, that tags Sven. And he gets hit by a couple of autos from Kobbe. But yeah, second game in a row that Kobbe and Mickey have been playing on the front foot, have been playing very forward, been trading with Sven and Mythic. Again, Cosmic Binding. Mickey's just finding his target through those minions consistently, just resulting in a little bit of advantage.
Yeah, and I want to highlight again Kobbe, because I think that as an individual, sure, he didn't have the best game 1, but he has been one of the best performing AD carries this split. He has the highest K plus 8 at 15 for all AD carries. He has the highest kill participation at 15 for all AD carries. And he has the second highest CSD. This guy is not only active during the early game, but he's also consistently dominating his lane opponent, even when that opponent is Sven.
Well, tell me about what happened in game 1 then.
0-4-3. Okay.
Damage percentage was very low. He had 1 isolated death. He's only had 3 on the split. So tends to be with his team, tends to be in the right place. But yeah, I mean, you said he had Kalista. That really it, just the pick and the way the game played out?
It's also, you're against 2 massive tanks, and while you're fairly mobile on a Kalista, it's really difficult to just shred through the tanks, and so you often just get zoned out of a lot of the fights. So later on into the game, it just became difficult to really play it. Now there are a lot more squishy targets available for Sven. You'll see him have a much easier time compared to what Kobbe did in game 1. But the main emphasis that I want to highlight was that Kobbe is a very good laner, and when you paired it with Mickey, it leaves room for a lot of playmaking potential down in the 2v2.
Well, a lot of trading in the top lane. Wonder completes his teleport, connects the bear trap on a rope, at least the first one, and Mithy steps over both caretaker shrines. Although saying that, Kobbe and Mickey still very healthy. They've got biscuits and potions left to play with. Kind of a non-interactive lane at the moment, actually. 28 CS to 34. Kobbe and Mickey, despite those early cosmic bindings, it has not equated into a huge lead. That wave is pushing towards Sven. So he will claw back that 7 CS deficit in the not too distant future. 1 minion wave. And Splyce going to be pretty happy with how this game has started. Let's see what happens. I can hear the players yelling as Trashy and Senkux are setting up for Expect. There's a ward in the river. G2 are aware. And Trashy and Senkux need to back away. All right, there's a dash over the wall available. Trick is flashed in, manages to get the slowdown from the Arctic Assault. Barrier comes up from Senkux. He's got no flash. First blood already picked up by Trick. Next target is Trashy. Trashy tries to run away. It's a double kill for Trick.
Good response from G2. They used the vision that they had in the river to be able to get the collapse down onto Senkux and Trashy. They didn't have the flash available. The barrier did come back up, but Expect was able to get to the fight faster because he had already pushed up that top wave, preventing Wonder from joining. It will give 2 very early kills over to Trick, and this is going to be a great start for the side of G2, and you can just see the way in which Perkz moves through the river, ready to cut off the escape of Senkux. Trick initially misses the CC, but it's fine because they have more than enough damage. And the big turning factor here is the fact that Trick never isolates himself. And while Trash is able to dodge away from the knock-up, he doesn't have enough damage to get the kill down onto Trick. And this means early lead in favor of G2.
Huge advantage. Trick already has the Balmy Cinder, as well as his jungle item completed on his first back. Another good cosmic binding from Mickey and Kobbe. Plus 6 CS at the moment. Doran's blade into Doran's shield. Still stings when I see Sven wielding a Doran shield. He spoke out so strongly against it. Though you have to bend to the meta, do you not?
Yep, it's also like Bard is super obnoxious, and having that extra bit of sustain is extremely valuable. But Kobbe, he's by himself right now. G2, they're looking a little angry.
Ooh, Mithy yells, stand behind me. That melee minion allowed the gap to close. Here comes Trick from behind. The Glacial Prison locks down Mickey. Magical Journey gets Kobbe to safety, but for how long? A dash, a mimic, a chain. Kobbe gets popped.
Nice prediction from Perkz to round out the additional 2 kills for G2. And this is what we wanted to see more from them in the early game. They get a very slight lead, and already they're looking to push it.
Let me quickly think of the tier list of things EU teams from Rift Rivals had to work on. Early vision. Vision in the river led to 2 kills. Prioritize mid lane. Trick got a 2-minute gank there, and a return gank. And then once mid lane's unlocked, Perkz is able to roam and pick up what was a beautiful kill over the walls.
Yeah, bear in mind, just look what's happening in the middle lane. Big minion wave, forcing Senkux to stay underneath his tower. This means that he can already start roaming down. Trick is level 6, so the ulti is there to just lock down Mickey and secure the initial kill. And you think, good on you, Mickey, keeping your AD carry alive. But the illusionist comes behind and says, haha, debated.
Debated indeed. I really like the setup, by the way. Mithy realizing the opportunity thanks to that little melee minion. He covered a gigantic amount of distance. And that just set up the the gank from Trick, so very nicely done. 8 minutes into the game, it's a 2,000 gold lead for the defending Spring Split champions. For G2, who are currently 3 series wins and 3 series losses. And, you know, we kept saying they're going to get better. They're going to fix the problems. It's week 6 of the EU LCS, and maybe this is where it starts, but we need to see several weeks of good performance to really cement that thought. What do you think, Betty?
Well, I mean, that's very true. As Senkux, yeah, that sucks. Really tough matchup for him, but I agree with you, right? Like, it's still early days, still waiting to see more from G2. Roam is happening onto Mithy.
All right, there is a Glacial Fissure that comes down. Trick sends out the Glacial Prison. The Fissure and the Prison. Sven forced to flash away from the Tempered Fate, and now Trick is the target. He gets leaped on. Taste of Fear comes out. Bear Trap on a rope, pulls a Poro Rider backwards, and Senkux snipes from behind with a threaded volley. Now wonders the target. He's got no skull for safety. A seismic shove sends Perks into his death.
Beautiful binding from Mickey with the follow-up from Senkux. That was 3 very swift kills going in the favor of Splyce, and Wonder, he didn't even have to use his TP to make it happen. He just roamed down with the rest of his team as they were looking for an invade. They find Mithy, and then everything descends into chaos as Splyce will get themselves the first tower of the game, get that bonus gold. All of a sudden, they have the gold lead.
They're so interesting. G2 get the first 4 kills of the game in like spectacular fashion. Only for Splyce to say, what you can do, we can do better. And it all starts with this. What was going to be a gank mid turns into a kill on the roaming Mithy.
So again, bear in mind, keep your eyes on the middle lane. Mid push. Perks cannot follow up immediately because he's forced to catch this wave. This means that Splyce, 3 members get the collapse down onto Mithy. Trick is just hanging around trying to keep his support alive, but he was just not poised and ready. He doesn't have dash to turn this around, and then when you think Perks can come in and get a kill, he gets rooted up by Mickey. The knock-up follow-up from Senkux means that Splyce, 3 kills, a lot of gold, and all of a sudden, they have so much more control over the game.
And importantly, Senkux maintains his minimum 1 kill per game in every game he's played for starters with 11 games or more. And only Febervent is the only other EU LCS player who can claim that title. Splyce got Tower First Blood. They've got a minor gold advantage as Mickey's coming in. Cosmic Binding. He's going to pin Expect. Here comes Wonder as well. He's flashed forward for this one. And Expect doesn't even need to flash to safety. Magical Journey for Mickey gets him all the way out. And while all that's going on, Sven is looking to pick up the first tower for G2 in the bottom lane. They did not take the top lane tower.
No, but they have seen that LeBlanc has made her way to the top side. Root happens again.
Cosmic Binding, Chain of Corruption misses. Where's a Tempered Fate? That's dashed away from. Perks the Illusionist says, you see me, but you can't catch me. Cosmic Binding tags Trick, but he's got Flash. Also got an Arctic Assault if he wants to get over a wall. I didn't quite see if the cooldown was available. Either way, Splyce are inside G2's jungle.
But now look, Senkux, he has his ultimate available. 4 members in the top side, ulti from Trick.
All right, the Prison went a little wide. Here comes Trashy in from the side. The Weaver's Wall locks out G2. It's Splyce that are on the board. They've taken down Expect. Talia, a double kill for Senkux before he gets sniped. Trick's running for his life. Cobby's on the back end and Perks fancies himself a shot. He takes the Magical Journey as well. Cobby's low, Senkux is low. A threaded volley runs out of ammunition as Senkux gets chunked down. The Seismic Shove is not going to find anybody on the pebbles.
Oh, that's a lot of juicy targets for Perks to clean up.
Oh, Distortion forward. Shatter Orb not going to be able to be procced. Where's the chain? Trashy's under the tower. 1 shot. The Illusionist. Double kill. There's the Perks that we all know and love.
So G2 end up turning that massively in their favor. It was supposed to be 3 quick kills into a tower. Splyce, they suddenly snowball that slight lead into a massive lead. But they stick around underneath the tower for too long. Perks arrives to the fight with all of his cooldowns available, and it is G2 that get the bot tower, the top tower, 4 kills, and everything going in their favor. So just look at how the dive happens. Again, LeBlanc forced to stay in the middle lane. The roam comes from Senkux, cutting off the escape. The issue here is Wonder tanks a lot of the tower shots, ends up getting stunned at the very end thanks to Trick, and you think this is great, but Mickey ends up getting tower aggro, Senkux ends up getting tower aggro, and because they lose their frontline tank, because he doesn't get Scar back, Splyce, they have no one left to draw that damage, and then Perks, he just comes in for the cleanup.
Well, Senkux fancied himself a shot, but unfortunately that thread volley takes some time to wind up. I think he's saying WTF. That's if you can lip read. Unfortunately for Senkux, not going to be able to bounce back. He's 4-2-1. Still hasn't finished his first big item. Perks, on the other hand, Hextech Gunblade already. So he's looking to pwn some noobs, I believe is the... is that what the youngsters are saying these days, Vedius?
I don't know. What do you say, Trevor?
Well, 6-0, that's the record for G2 in game 2s. Actually, before today, they had lost 4 out of their 6 series game 1 games. Not a team that traditionally starts series.
What are you trying to say, Trevor?
Well.
What are you trying to say?
Trying to say G2 kind of suck
I
in
knew
their
you'd
first
say
game.
suck. I knew.
And it's something they themselves have said many times.
Yeah.
But what they do not suck at right now is control wards. Fedis, look at that inventory. No disappointed Dad Deficio today.
Juicy vision, juicy, juicy. The reason why you carry 2 is so that if they clear out the first one, you have another. Always valuable to have, but you can also use it to reposition. So you might set up a defensive one initially. You can see one there for G2 in their own blue buff, but now there's another one available and ready if they want to try and move that vision upwards. Now Perks. Oh! Now you see him, now you don't.
I believe that was a noob being pwned.
Oh, yeah.
Just a great combination. Perks, look, he's finding his groove, right? We're 15 minutes in. He's K plus A at 15.
Groove? No, he rolled his face on the keyboard and Kobe disappeared, and now I think someone else is about to disappear too.
Where's the prison? That's gonna lock Mickey in place. He won't even get the tempered fate out. What? Magical journey, but Expect is waiting. Oh, a little bit of love as Expect gives him a love tap. Trashy's able to escape, and here comes Wonder with the help of Scarl. A little bit of a charge. But there's no real support anywhere else. Splyce, they lose another. They're 5K down. 10 kills to 5, and Perks, he's waiting to find someone.
But I feel like Splyce, they're not going to take the bait. They're not going to fall for the same trap. And you have to wonder what Splyce are doing. Because you look at the river and you can see there is a lot of vision available for Splyce. They should have seen Trick coming over towards the middle lane. They have no turret available. Splyce, they just stuck around too long. It was extremely easy for G2 to get the collapse. They get themselves extra kills, and Perks, he's a hunted.
Oh! Well, okay, a lot of damage back, though, from the threaded volley, but Talia not quite the same pop ability that Perks does. And Perks is just solo killing kids. Do you know, all these ISO deaths are going to creep up. And it's literally Perks' fault.
Yeah.
He is now destroying the stats.
He's got to fix that KDA, man. 1.6, 1.3. Nah, gotta rectify that issue.
Well, this summer, Perks' KDA was 3.2. I think that'll definitely get a little bit of a bump this game. He's got 8 stacks on that Dark Seal as well. And the game has definitely evolved to be about him.
Yes.
It feels in a very...
That's great, right? Like when you're playing LeBlanc, when you play with a jungler that's not quite invested in early game playmaking, it was great to see Trick make a level 2 play as Senkux was trying to get an early push, because that started the snowballing Perks. Things were looking great for him in the early game, and we talked about win conditions, and the big thing for G2 is get these laners ahead, get Perks and Sven in particular advantages in their respective matchups. Perks did a fine job, Sven has done a fine job, and now they can start grouping, and that 5v5 teamfight is going to be that much stronger than Splyce.
And when we started this series, we said we wanted to look at Trashy and Senkux's ability in the game. Trashy's Gragas never really got going in game 1. Senkux, while his Corki did a lot of damage, no doubt, it wasn't able to carry, and his Talia is now being somewhat outshone by Perks' LeBlanc. I mean, look, Senkux still 4-2-1, 100% kill participation. He's trying to help his team, but Perks is just killing them before Senkux can do anything, really. All right, another setup. Mithy's the only man that gets tagged. There's a charge that's been thrown down by Wonder. He's going to roll into the fight. Fate's Call comes up for a second, and Mithy is going to look for another target. Trashy is stunned, forced to run away. This Kha'Zix definitely not having a good day. Cosmic Binding comes out and buys a few extra seconds of time, but now Mickey and Kobbe are split up. Cataclysm goes up, walls go down. Mickey takes a magical journey, but you can't escape a distortion. And Perkz is dominating. 7-1-2. Wonder's trying to get Skull to safety. There's a flash available to him. He jumps into the pit. Here comes Perkz looking for Senkux. Shatter Orb maybe needed. One more shot. Manages to get the kill. I think it was the Q at the end of the day as well. Wonder's able to escape, waiting for Skull. There goes the Mimic. Kobbe. Will he die as well? Chains lock him down. 2 chains come out. Kobbe forced to flash and heal to safety, and Mithy and Perkz happily take another tower.
An absolute destruction coming out from the side of G2, utilizing this early snowball to consistently win these fights. Splyce, they just tried to force something. They realized that they're falling behind. They need to make a play happen. Let's try and catch some G2 members out in the middle lane. But expect he's poised and ready for the TP. LeBlanc comes in from the side. Talia's not even in this fight. And you can see the desperation coming out from Splyce as they just collapse around the rest of G2. With the massive gold advantage, it is extremely easy for them to clean up the straggling members that eventually split up and can do nothing against the powerhouse.
Oh, the split up team members, that's exactly what Perkz wants. He wants to run you down one by one.
Yep.
And use this Morella, Nomicon, and Gunblade. We come out of the replay straight into another fight. Jousting is thrown down by Wonder, and the Cosmic Binding allows Mickey to pick up his first kill of the game. Senkux maintains 100% kill participation, but we're not done yet. Splyce now trying to take down the tower. Mickey is going to use the magical journey, try get to safety. Gets backwards, Cosmic Binding buys some time, but the tower shots take him down. Perkz is now legendary, 9-1-2. Trashy forced to use that Void Assault just to buy some time. Kobbe's the target, gets crunched by the Cataclysm. Expect is now on a killing spree, and this is just getting disgusting. A double kill for Expect as Mithy gets his first of the game. 18 kills to 6. And G2 are ruffle stomping Splyce.
Oh, Splyce, you find a great pick onto Sven, but then G2 find a pick onto your whole team. Perkz, he ends up killing Mickey at the very start of the fight. With a 4v4 scenario with a flanking Expect, it's extremely easy for G2 to just dive onto the backline and slowly chase the remaining Splyce members down. Very clean use of the advantages that they had gained. And you can just see here, like, this is a great wall. Sven, a little bit out of position, doesn't have the proper support from the rest of his team. But then this is really where things start to go awry for Splyce. LeBlanc is roaming down, Sejuani's roaming down. They're trying to siege onto this tower, but the LeBlanc pick power is just too strong.
Well, as we come out of this one, Perkz, by the way, picks up that kill. It ended up being a solo kill. Quick stat moment. Perkz is now on 5 solo kills this game. And the record before this was Odawamne with 4 solo kills in a game. So, Odo, Perkz has seen your record and has broken it with more games still yet to play. Perkz, how many more solo kills can you find? That's the question. Vedius, do you have an answer for me?
I'm going to say you'll find 1 more solo kill.
1 more. Okay. All right. So he's on 5 at the moment. We'll end the game with 6. I think he'll find 2.
Oh, ambitious.
I think so.
Well, to be fair, he did say before Rift Rivals, we will not drop a game. And so far, he's on track.
Hey, he's won the fullest, the only completed game he's played.
Yes.
And on track to win the second. So, Perkz confirmed not a liar yet. There is many, many games.
Oh, there
the
are.
Summer.
And Twitter will not forget that quote.
And we will find out soon enough. Splyce. Man, what a situation to be in. Down 10,000 gold, down a Baron buff. You've got no real front line, and a LeBlanc that is so fed that she can insta-gib anybody.
Yeah. There are very few answers left for Splyce, and it's got to be a bit of a heartbreaking series for them. Coming off a week off, feeling confident, ready to rectify a lot of their issues, to then fall short very early on at the start of this game as G2, they're continuing to break through the base of Splyce.
They are indeed. G2, Baron-empowered minions, Tempered Fate. While that is beautiful from Splyce, where's the rest of the follow-up? The tower still falls, and Splyce are sent running for their lives. Knockup comes down from Miffy as the Fates call bought a lot of time. That's 2 kills for G2. Wonder's the recipient of a bunch of Ren stacks. Skull can't save his life. Perkz continues to be legendary. Looks like Vedius and I are both wrong. Perkz may not get any more solo kills. The inhibitor starts to fall, and there's 20-second death timers. Baron empowered minions, and G2, they're breaking the base of Splyce.
Expect he's just gonna go back because he has the teleport ready. It's gonna go on to a minion to keep it alive so that G2 can look to end out the series.
Perkz, will he find another solo kill? Shatter Orb tags Trashy, the passive, wind up. But the Nexus turrets are the focus. 22 kills in 24 minutes. Perkz looking for the solo kill. He does it, finds one. Vedius is right. G2 send a message to Europe that they are back.
A much more convincing game from G2. They will end the day G2-0. Definitely the sort of performance that you want following a disappointment at Rift Rivals. And it was a very proactive early game. Something that we really wanted to see from the squad. Something that we were hoping European teams would do more of. And while for sure, Trashy, Senkux, they didn't quite have the level of synergy that they wanted. They couldn't quite get any early leads. Overall, individual performances were still solid, just wasn't enough against G2.
Game 1, slow and steady for G2 eSports. Took a long time, a lot of scaling. You can see,
it was close.
Yeah, you can see Perkz, hugs all around. They are friends as well as enemies on the Rift, but today, G2, like we said, slow to start, but holy cow, did they finish fast in game number 2. 23 minutes, 57 seconds. Perkz ended with 11 kills, 7 assists. 6 of them were solo kills. I mean, you don't get a more dominant LeBlanc performance than that.
Yeah, and it's exactly how you want to be playing LeBlanc. Strong early lead, moving around the map, trying to bring that gold to the other lanes. And he was just finding pick after pick after pick, turning what could have been a really good tower dive from Splyce into a very good turnaround from G2. That's where things really fell apart in Splyce. They just ran out of answers.
So the impact on the standings now, with Splyce losing that game, they're now at 4 series wins, 3 series losses. So very, very clearly in 3rd place. Urwell and HTK both with more wins than them, above them. On the other side, in the other group, Misfits are 4 series wins, 2 losses. Now G2, 4 series wins, 3 losses. So that second, third bout with Misfits involved becomes so juicy, becomes so interesting, especially because Misfits are playing next.
And what we saw today was that G2 developed at least a bit, right? Like we see that Trick has found another comfort jungler in the form of Sejuani. Expect is certainly having good performances on Jarvan. Team fighting still very strong for G2.
Yes.
But the question is, have Urwell made adjustments too? Are they going to be the same Urwell?
Before we talk about them, I want to quickly look at one of those plays where Splyce, they overcommitted to that tower dive and things got a little bit messy. So pull this replay up onto your screens, and this should be one of the early game fights that really allowed G2 and then Perkz especially to get ahead. Vedius, what went wrong here?
Well, bear in mind, the whole play from Splyce is good. The issue is that they don't have enough damage to be able to shred through 3 tanky members, along with the fact that the moment Wonder dies, they no longer have anyone that can tank up the tower. The aggro is slightly mismanaged, and that means that because you have so many low health members, Perkz is just asking for someone to overstay so that he can find himself another kill, and that's exactly what he does. Picks up 2 here, and this is really where this LeBlanc just becomes uncontrollable.
What I do like about Senkux, even though, yes, he ends up giving up the kill, I do commend the thought of trying to get in, the thought of trying to contest. Slightly poorly executed there, but...
What is this champion?
Yeah, what is this?
Why is he allowed to play this?
Oh, you can just feel the pain. On the other side, though, Perkz, he manages to secure player of the series. I don't think that's going to be a huge surprise to everybody. Just a phenomenal performance. 16, 1, and 15 in his 2-0 series.
Yeah, pretty good. His Oriana, he landed a couple of decent shockwaves. I seem to remember that really good one onto Cobby that really swung a fight heavily in their favor. His positioning was really good in a lot of those fights, and the fact that he only died once in the entire series is definite growth from him, especially when you look at his performance at Rift Rivals.
I just wish I remembered the rhyme. My Rise is bad, my Azir is worse. I won player of the series. We're going to interview now G2 Perks.
How do you feel about that rhyme? Let's just start right there, because it comes up every time you play a game, good or bad, and especially international.
Well, I actually, at first, like, I didn't really like it that much. It was, like, triggering me, but then at some point, I was like, oh, I should add my own rhyme, you know? It's so freaking cool. So I was like, I really like this rhyme. So, yeah, just keep saying it.
Just buy into it, man. There's nothing they could do if you actually like it. All right, now let's look at the series. Of course, you played a phenomenal series, player of the series. Do you feel like you're starting to get back into that form that we saw you at MSI?
Well, personally, I think I was playing... I don't think I ever got out of the form. I just think that we as a team were out of the form, so that made me look worse. Also, my play at Rift Rivals was actually like... was pretty bad, so that could be an indicator, yeah. But I definitely think that I'm like getting way to be better than ever, yeah.
One of the things that you guys brought up as an issue in a video that G2 put out recently was that everyone was picking for themselves, not really picking for the team. Do you feel like you resolved a lot of those issues in what you showed today?
Well, that was like after we lost to Unicorns and we had like team comp with literally 0 stuns in the draft, and I was like, guys, we need more CC. So then everyone agreed, you know, we all like talked that we should pick more losing lanes, more for team cons, blah, blah. And now every game, like we just pick for drafts. Even if you have a losing matchup or not the best matchup, like Dan picks Jarvan, even if it's not good versus Jax, or he just picks for team comp, and everyone does the same. So I think it definitely like shows in our play that it's a lot easier to execute also. And yeah, we've overcome our problems to reach this point again.
You bring that up, and now one of the other things that you guys had discussed was that you maybe not like losing a little bit of motivation and kind of struggling with keeping the right attitude moving forward. How do you stay on this high? How do you stay positive looking forward? How do you stop yourself from going back into that? I don't want to call it a slump, but that area where you're not as committed to improving or playing as a team.
Well, it's really hard since I don't know how to answer everything because I've been a pro player only for 1 year, and I think after spring split and MSI, it's so much stress, and I had barely like a couple of days break, and also I got pretty ill before the summer split, and then everyone else like had the same, and we all thought we were gonna be like really insane after MSI, but the pet change and everything, so we just like played worse, and motivation was dropping because of our scrims also. Like we were not having fun in scrims. Yeah, there was like a lot of not bad attitude, but just bad mood, you know. Like, and we had a team talk after Rift Rivals and during Rift Rivals, and this last week of scrims was like most fun than ever. Like we're all having so much fun, and we are improving so much too. So it's a good feeling to grind again. Yeah.
All right, it's good to hear that. Now, it sounds like even in a time where scrims weren't going well, you made a big statement on the analyst desk. You told everyone that G2 would not lose a game in the regular season for the rest of summer split. Do you feel like G2 can back that up? You haven't lost one yet.
Well,
after Rift Rivals, that is.
After Rift Rivals, yeah. Well, that is my goal right now because I did say it. So like, I'm gonna try my hardest to keep the goal alive. I had special motivation for today. Like Trashy was saying that we are not even top 4 in Europe, and their owner was saying you can't call us Kings of Europe if you are 6th or something in the ladder. So I was really motivated to show up today.
All right, last question. Are G2 still the Kings of Europe?
Definitely, yes.
All right, Perks, congrats again. Player of the series, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. When we get back from the break, it'll be Unicorns of Love going toe-to-toe with Misfits. You're not going to want to miss it.